Welcome back to Turbo Go-Go, everybody. We've got a pretty special addition to the shed today. This is an XY GT Falcon replica with a pretty crazy driveline swap in it. We've got a supercharged Godzilla and some insane fabrication work all throughout the car. And I'm joined by Matt from Rogan Industries today, and he's going to have a chat to us about all the stuff we've done to it, and later we're going to hit the dyno and see what it's capable of. This is Matt from Rogan Industries. He's worked on basically all the car except for a few things. And he's going to take us through what he's done.
Hey guys, yeah, we're just going to go through front to back or back to front and have a look at some stuff.
All right, let's do it. All right, Matt, we've got a pretty crazy rear end here. I noticed you're still running some leaf springs. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so we obviously these are factory leaf spring cars, so there's nothing wrong with leaf springs. They actually work really well. There's no need to overcomplicate things. So we just went for a split mono leaf setup. Sheet metal housing, floaters, 35 spline, axles and center, all the stuff to handle the big Godzilla power. Anti-roll bar. We modified a bit of the chassis at the back to get the 275s on a 12.
Sweet. All right, let's move up. What have you done with the chassis? It's not too obvious because it's all been painted, but it's been notched, hasn't it?
The rear has been modified, you could call it a notch. And then we ran a chassis connector through. These cars are notoriously bad. From the factory, they sort of rely on the seal like most cars of that era did. So we ran a RHS through the car and linked it all into the floor and then made the transmission mount off that. And
what transmission have we got in here, Matt?
this has a Turbo 400 built by Marshall Outcast Automotive. Bolt together converter, torque power bell housing with a little bit of customization. Obviously the biggest thing with these is the front end. The factory suspension, they run a strut tower, I guess you could say, that's sort of really intrusive in the engine bay. And with these being quite a wide engine, it does fit, but it's incredibly tight and incredibly hard to work on. So Ryan chose to go with an IFS front end, which solves that problem and basically converts it into a double wishbone coilover shock deal, rack and pinion, which is nice. Definitely solves a few issues that they have from factory. So,
how is that conversion?
The conversion is pretty in-depth to do it properly. We set the car up on the jig and made sure we had everything aligned and level and kept sort of the track correct, and because they can sort of go anywhere, I guess. So it's not really a bolt-in deal. It's welded in. So once it's in, it's very hard to change.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Dad and I noticed this cheeky little Astra steering pump up here.
Yeah, the electric Astra, that was Ryan's choice. Again, it saves we sort of didn't really have room to run a mechanical style pump, so electric was the way to go. Kept it up the front, which is a bit less plumbing.
With this sump, you had a little bit of modification, didn't you?
The sump has been modified at the front to clear this cross member, mainly we were trying to keep the motor under the bonnet, which it's close, it's not, but it's very close. It needs a very subtle reverse cowl on it. So yeah, we modified the sump, which was not a big deal, but it definitely needed to be done with this IFS front end.
All right, sweet. Well, let's have a look in the engine bay.
Yeah, let's let it down, hey?
All right, Matt, can you give me a little rundown on the engine, please?
So the engine is a Godzilla. I'm not a Ford guy, but I know that it's a Godzilla built by Dandy Engines. Pretty stout bit of gear, supercharged. I think it made around 1300 on the engine dyno. So we kind of got tasked with putting the engine in the car and making it all work, and it definitely was a big project. Everything custom headers, radiators, surge tanks, like sort of incorporated the surge tank with the overflow, and managed to still keep a brake booster, which is nice. But yeah, a lot of work to make it all fit. But obviously with the towers out, typically they have a big tower in here that is really, really tight. So getting rid of those is a huge plus in this car. And yeah, it's getting close now.
And we got some more goodies up the back, don't we?
This car is filled with goodies.
All everywhere.
In the boot, we've got, we just chose to put a universal fuel cell in the boot, cost effective. And then we had a chiller tank, because this car runs an interchiller, to try and control those intake temps. And obviously relocated the battery interchiller setups up under the parcel tray. A whole lot of customization in the boot floor and stuff, and tubs and all that sort of stuff that we sort of typically do on most builds. So
You managed to retain the AC, but it doesn't work when you're running the interchiller at the same time. Is that right?
I believe that's how it's worked. I'm not an AC professional.
No.
I try and steer clear of AC, to be honest.
Good call.
I've learnt from the master that AC is not necessary. But yeah, the AC, I believe it's only on to it can only do one, I guess, cooling path, you could call it.
Yeah, lovely. All right, Matt. Thanks so much for having a chat with me.
No worries, mate.
Looking
Anytime.
forward to see how it performs on the dyno.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. It's going to be a wicked car.
Sweet as. Cheers.
See you guys.
Although Dad didn't work on this build specifically, he's good mates with Oxy, the owner of the car, and the rest of the crew involved with building it. Dad offered to house the Falcon as we had some hoist space for a change, and Timmy, who did the wiring, worked on getting the engine running. Timmy's focus was to iron out any unforeseen issues before we took it in for a dyno session with Kai at Night Family Motorsport. Without a timing mark, it took a fair bit of playing to get the engine running smoothly, but after a bit of trial and error and a tasteful amount of ether, the car was ready for the dyno. Now that we've smoked out the shed, let's get this thing to the dyno, see what kind of numbers it can put down, and have a chat to some more of the blokes involved with this killer XY. G'day Timmy.
G'day mate, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Can you tell me about what you've done to the car?
I helped with Ryan with the electrical side of the car and a few other little details. Ryan went with a Haltech ECU and PDM. It's running a Nexus R5 with a PD16 and a Haltech dash. It's got a suite of Siltech sensors, front to rear.
What functions have you added?
Functions, the ECU runs the engine sequentially, powers all the fans, well the PDM rather, all the fans and functions like that on the car. It's telling things like the air conditioning in the car to turn on, it's telling the power steering pump to turn on, just normal typical stuff. It's got a few special sensors for race stuff like ride height and pinion speed and shock travel in the back. Pretty comprehensive suite of stuff.
Sweet. I know you're pretty savvy with the 3D printer. Have you added some bits to that?
Yeah, I made a couple of brackets and adapters and things like that to try and make up for my lack of fabrication ability, just to try and get some things mounted. A coil adapter to space a coil out and a few other things to mount things to the roll cage. It turned out pretty good.
Beauty.
Learning how to draw and learning how to print properly is a new thing for me.
Lovely. All right. Thanks, Timmy.
Thanks, mate.
Now that we've had a look at the details of the build, let's see what it can do on Kai's dyno.
I've got to give this back to my wife when I get home.
Alrighty, Kai, how's the car been going so far in the dyno?
So far it's been going pretty good. It's hasn't really been giving us too many issues. Managed to get it doing exactly what it's supposed to do. We did some 98 tuning. We only ran it up to about, I think it was 5 pound on 98 and put down, was it 530 horsepower or something like that. Realistically, 98 for this car is just going to be something that he's going to cruise around, and it's more he's going to use it for racing and you know, gapping barras and that sort of stuff. So it's one of those things that, yeah, E85 will be its primary food. And yeah, at the moment though, it's she's a big talky girl, and she's been playing havoc on my dyno a little bit. She's been riding the torque limit pretty hard, so we're playing the cat and mouse game of try and ride the torque limit as long as we can and actually get it to print off a number. But I think the boys said that they saw 1050 on the screen before, so it's all looking like it's heading in the right direction. It'd just be nice to get it to actually capture one of those runs. So he's got the big 4-digit run.
And we just pulled the spark plugs and they're looking all good?
Yeah, everything's looking really nice and even, which is great. Obviously, Harrop's done a bang-up job on the design of the manifold and the intercooler brick and everything like that. So yeah, no, that all looks real good. Yeah, honestly, no complaint. It's honestly going super smooth. It's like, what have we done? We've done an oil change. We've done a plug check a couple of times. It's going pretty smooth.
No glitter?
Yeah, literally no glitter. It was good. It was real good. Yep.
Dreaming.
I think Ryan's going to sleep easy tonight, hopefully. Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, Kai.
Easy, mate.
G'day, Ryan. How's the car been going?
Yeah, really good, thanks, Gus. Ecstatic how it's gone on the dyno today. Yeah, it just turned out, I think, 1,120 horsepower or something, somewhere around that, a little bit over 1,100.
Wow.
Yeah, couldn't be happier.
Bloody hell. Can you give us a little overview of it?
Yeah, so I bought the car in about 1999. Had a fairly standard 351 and top loader in it at that time. Sort of ran 15s back then. A few years after that, I put a bit more of a work 351 in it, and it sort of was running high 11s back in the early 2000s, which was sort of reasonably quick for a street car back then. But sort of over time, it's no longer as quick anymore. Sort of horsepower's a lot easier to make these days, and there's lots of cars out there that were a lot quicker than it. So sort of had been thinking for probably the last 5 or so years about doing a bit of an engine conversion in it, but just didn't really know quite what to go with. But then when I saw this new Ford Godzilla come out, I sort of wanted to keep it Ford. And I saw Dandy Engines had done a lot of work with Ford and Godzilla with Harrop. And then with Turbo Yoda, obviously having a supercharged big block, Harrop supercharged big block in his car, that had sort of been built by Dandy as well. He put me in contact with Frank, and it sort of all went from there. And yeah, that's sort of where we are today. So it's a Ford Godzilla. It's basically all the internals have been changed, forged internals. Basically the only thing that's left standing is the crank and the block. Pretty much everything else has been modified. Yeah, with forged rods, pistons. It's had head work, valve work, different cam, and with a Harrop supercharger on top of it.
Is it just the standard blower?
It's a standard 2650 Harrop, but it has been ported just to give it a little bit more extra power. So yeah, obviously you can see from the results today, it certainly made some good power, and I think it also made a lot of torque. So
yeah,
it maxed out the dyno there at one point.
Couldn't even handle it.
Yeah, no. So it's yeah, I couldn't be happy with how it's gone today.
Yeah, it's going to be a weapon on the streets.
Oh, it certainly will be.
Sweet. I'm sure you're chuffed.
I certainly am.
Beauty. Well, that's a wrap on Oxy's XY Godzilla. I had an absolute blast hanging out with the whole crew and learning how a big complex build like that works from Matt, Kai and Timmy. I wanted to thank everybody for all the feedback and support I got on the last video, and I'm really looking forward to pumping out some more and showing what Dad's up to and what all Dad's mates get up to. So thank you for watching. This has been Turbo Gogu. Stay tuned for more. Hey everybody, this is... Wait, hang on, not hey everybody. This is Matt Rogan.